You can use this enlarge in two ways. Number one, you can use it as a pronoun. Or number two, you can use it as a determiner. So let's first talk about when we are using it as a pronoun. Now, for example, if it is obvious, according to the context and situation, that I am talking about this cake, then I can just call it this. I can just refer to it as this and say, this is sweet. This is sweet. So in this case, I am using this alone as a noun within a sentence. So if I am using this alone as a noun, then it means that I am using it as a pronoun, and in that case, this will look like 이거, 이거, 이거. So if I am going to use this as a pronoun and say, this is sweet, this is sweet, then the Korean sentence will look something like this. 이거, 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 this in green, 달아요, 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 sweet in pink. So altogether, 이거 달아요, 이거 달아요, 이거 달아요. So, that is using this as a pronoun, 이거. But sometimes you will see this version as well, 이것, 이것, 이것. Now, this is also using this as a pronoun. However, what is the most important when learning Korean? It is always asking yourself the question, what type of Korean am I speaking? What type of Korean am I learning? Because there are in large three types of Korean: poetic Korean, soldier Korean, and real, natural, colloquial Korean. So, if you use this version, you will likely sound extremely poetic or like a soldier saying, "Sir, yes, sir," all the time. That's not how you want to sound. So, I would not advise you to use this version, so instead use this version if you are speaking natural, colloquial Korean, the type of Korean that you can actually use in real-life conversations. However, even when you are speaking natural, colloquial Korean, there are situations where you would use this version, 이것. Now that is when you are going to attach one of these three particles to this. That is the only scenario in which you would use this version even in natural, colloquial Korean. So, when you are attaching 도, the particle 도, which means also, in other words, as well, in other words, too. So for example, if you want to say this too, also this as well, then you could use this version and then attach the particle 도. So 이것도. Now it means this as well, this also, this too. Not just that, but this as well, this also, this too. That is what the particle 도 does. Also, as well, too. Now also, you can use 이것 when you want to attach 들 and say 이것들. 들 would be a plural. The equivalent of it in English would be s, something that is attached behind a noun to indicate that the number of that noun is more than one. So, in that sense, it is the equivalent of s as a plural. So if you want to say these, indicating that the number of the noun is more than one, you can say 이것들. 이것들, 이것들. And then also, you can use 이것 when you want to attach 만, which means only. So if you want to say, not that, not those, only this. So, in that case, you can use 이것, 이것만, 이것만, 이것만. So, unless you are attaching one of 도, 들, or 만 to this, 이것, then do not use this version. Use this version instead. Only when you are attaching one of these three particles, then use 이것. So, for example, if you're gonna say, that is sweet. But not only that, this also is sweet. Then you would use this version because I am going to use one of these three particles. So I'm going to change it into the version that has an extra consonant at the end and then attach 도. Which means also, in other words as well, in other words too. So for example, once again, if you want to say, that is sweet, but not only that, this is also sweet, then you would say, 이것도, this also is sweet. 이것도, 이것도, 달아요, this also is sweet. So once again, only when you are using one of these three particles, only when you are attaching one of these three particles, use this version instead of this version. But if you are not using one of these three particles, then use this version because that is much more natural, that is much more colloquial. You won't sound poetic or soldier-like. Okay, now let's move on to when you are using it as a determiner. If you are using this not alone, but by placing it in front of the noun that you want this to modify, then in that case it means that you are using it as a determiner. So for example, if I say this cake is sweet, I am no longer using this alone. I am using this by placing it in front of the noun that I want this to modify. So in that case, I am using it as a determiner, and in that case, this will look like E. So if I were to change the sentence from this is sweet into this cake is sweet, then the Korean sentence will look something like this. This in orange, cake, cake in blue, 달아요, sweet in pink. So altogether, 이 케이크 달아요, 이 케이크 달아요, 이 케이크 달아요. If you feel like you need more context and more explaining, and therefore if you feel like you need one-on-one lessons, then you can always inquire through the comments. Thank you.